Hey everybody, welcome back. We are continuing our Unit 11 on geometry. Today we're going to be talking about congruent and non-congruent and what that means. Before we start though, let's go ahead and do a quick review of what we've learned about geometry so far. Geometry is the study of shapes and figures. We've talked about polygons and different geometric shapes and different geometric figures. Our 5 main geometric figures that we are talking about have been points, lines, line segments, rays, and angles. A point is an exact location and it looks like a dot. You can use this in math to show an exact point on a number line to show exactly which point you're talking about. Next, we have a line. A line looks just like a normal line you would draw, but it has 2 arrows on the end because a line goes on forever in both directions. It's just like a number line minus the numbers. Next, we have a line segment. A line segment is very similar to a line. The difference here is that instead of 2 arrows at the end, it has 2 endpoints. That's because a line segment is a section of a line. So on our big line, we have little sections, maybe between 2 numbers. Between the numbers 2 and 3, we could have 2 points and a little line segment in between. A line segment is a section of a line. Now, a ray, we got ray over here. Ray is a point that goes in one direction. The way we remember this is that Ray sings in the band One Direction. This is his head right here, the point, and he is singing out in one direction. That is Ray. And last but not least, we have our angle. An angle is a point that has 2 lines coming out of it going in different directions. An angle is a good way to remember triangle. The word triangle is 3 because tri means 3, and angle because it has 3 angles, so it's called triangle. Let's go ahead and talk about a triangle. A triangle is considered a polygon. We have one right here. And a polygon is a flat shape that is closed. It has no openings. It has no crisscrosses. It is made up of straight lines, so no curves, no circles, and it has to have at least 3 sides or more. So with a polygon, all of these shapes that are shown right here, we have quadrilaterals, pentagons, hexagons, heptagons, decagons, octagons, and nonagons, and triangles. All of these shapes that you see right now have straight lines. All of those lines are connected. They come together at corners. There are no curves, and all of these shapes are flat. They are not 3D. Here are some examples of what is not a polygon. Some of these examples have lines that crisscross. A lot of these examples have curves in them. A lot of them are open or are 3D. And all of these shapes are not polygons because they're not following the rule. The rule is that to be a polygon, you have to be a flat shape, you have to have straight lines, and you have to be a closed shape. So all of your lines have to connect at a corner, and they can't crisscross, and they can't be open. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of specific polygons. We've already reviewed these a couple of times, but it's always good to keep this fresh in our heads. I'm going to move my video so we can see our nonagon. There we go. All right, so first of all, we have our triangle. Our triangle is a polygon that has 3 sides. It has 3 angles. And it is something that we have learned when we were probably in kindergarten or 1st grade. So we all know what a triangle is. A triangle is 3. Next, we have a quadrilateral. A quadrilateral is a very difficult one because we see this 4-sided shape and we want to call it a square or a rectangle. But a quad, which we can call it a quad to shorten it up, a quad is any shape that has 4 sides. So a square, a rectangle, a rhombus, a parallelogram, a trapezoid, all of those are considered quads. So a quad is 4 because the word quad means 4. On Fortnite, they used to have a vehicle called a quad, and that was a 4-wheeler. That is another word for quad. Also, if you play Fortnite, the most that you can have in a squad is 4. So I always like to think of the quad squad has 4 people in it. Next, we have our pentagon. Down here, a little green guy. Pentagon has 5 sides and 5 angles. Now, the way we remember a pentagon is because you hold a pen with your hand. And on your hand, you have 5 fingers. So that is a pentagon. Everybody say pentagon. Pentagon. Good. Next, let's talk about our hexagon. Our hexagon, hex, x, 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 has 6 sides. The word 6 and the word hexagon both have an X in them because hex and 6 kind of sound the same. They are the only ones that have X's in them out of all of these polygons. So a hexagon has 6 sides. Next, we have Happy, the heptagon. Happy is my favorite because she is just so cool. She's so chill. And heptagon, we call her Happy the hippie because she always has a peace sign up with one hand and a high five with the other. And when you look at your hands, how many fingers is that? 7. Happy is 7 sides. So the heptagon has 7 sides. Plus, Happy and hexagon kind of go together because they're right beside each other. The hexagon is 6, the heptagon is 7. They both begin with H, so they're kind of buddies, okay? Last, we have an octagon. An octagon has 8 sides because an octopus has 8 legs. So an octagon has 8 sides, and it looks like a stop sign. And I said last, but we actually have 2 more. Next, we have our nonagon. Our nonagon sounds like ninagon. And that's a really easy way to remember that nonagon means 9. And last but not least, we have a decagon, and a decagon has 10 because a decade is 10 years. So a decagon is 10 sides. So just as a quick recap, here we go. A triangle has 3 sides. A quad has 4. A pentagon has 5. A hexagon has 6. A heptagon has 7, an octagon has 8, a nonagon has 9, and a decagon has 10. Awesome. Today, we are talking about 2 new words. Those words are congruent and non-congruent. I want you to clap out the word congruent with me. Here we go. Congruent. One more time. Congruent. The word congruent is when 2 figures or shapes are exactly the same shape and size. So 2 things, shape and size. They both begin with an S. Shape and size is what we're looking at today. The color of the shapes doesn't matter. The position of the shape doesn't matter. What matters is if it is the same size and the same shape. So first we have to double check, make sure it's the same shape. Then we have to make sure it's the same size. So these are examples of congruent shapes. This is a rectangle, it's pink, and then this is a rectangle, that's purple. The colors don't matter. I'm going to say that again. The colors don't matter. They could be any color. We're not looking at color. We're looking at shape and size. They are the same shape. They are both rectangles, and they are the same size. Now, the only difference is that this one is laying down. That's it. They are the same shape and size, though, so they are congruent. Over here, these 2 shapes look almost identical. If you drew a line straight down the middle, you'd be able to flip it over, so they would be symmetrical. We know that these are congruent because they are the same size, and the same shape. They are exactly the same. Again, it doesn't matter about the color. That's not what is making them the same. It is their size and shape. And they are the same size and shape, so they are the same. Next, we have non-congruent. Let's tap this word out. Non-congruent. One more time. Non-congruent. Non-congruent is when 2 figures or shapes are different shapes and sizes. If there is any difference between the shapes, then they are non-congruent. And if there's any difference between the size of the shapes, they are not congruent. They are not the same. So non-congruent means not. Our prefix non means not. So not congruent is what we're saying here. Here we have 2 shapes. They are probably kind of the same shape. We have 2 rectangles, but are the sizes different? Yes. So they are not congruent. Next, we have these 2 shapes. They look kind of similar, but this one is much larger. And we know that if it's not the same size or shape, then it's non-congruent. So these are non-congruent because they are not the same size and shape. All right, we're going to play a game called congruent or non-congruent. What we're going to do is look at 2 pictures, and we're going to decide, are these 2 shapes congruent or not? Basically, are they the same or are they not? Congruent is we are looking for 2 things, size and shape. That's what we're looking at. We're not looking at color. We're not looking at position. This triangle could be flipped over. They're still congruent. The position doesn't matter. The color doesn't matter. What matters is the size and shape. Let's go. So we have these two triangles. They are the same shape and they are the same size. They look exactly the same. You have to rely a lot on your eyes for this. So if they are the same shape and the same size, these are what? Congruent. Good. These are congruent. They are the same size and the same shape. All right, let's look at these two. Now, we have the same shape, but now we have one that is much smaller. So they are not the same size. They are the same shape, but they are not the same size. So if they are not the same size, then they are non-congruent. Good. They are not the same. They are non-congruent. Next, let's look at this. We have a triangle and another triangle. They look about the same. If I took that white triangle and flipped it over a little bit, I think it would look just like this purple triangle. The only difference here is the color. Does the color matter? No. And the position. Does the position matter? No. Are they the same shape? Yes. Are they the same size? Also yes. So these would be congruent. They are the same. They're the same size and the same shape. Color doesn't matter. Position doesn't matter. If they are the same size and shape, then they are congruent. All right, let's look at this. We have two triangles. They look about the same size, but when you look carefully at these two triangles, are they the same type of triangle? This one has a right angle right here. This one looks more like our normal triangle that we would draw. These are not the same. Even though they are technically the same shape, they do not look the same. If you look at these two triangles, they look very different. That makes them non-congruent. They are not the same exact shape. So if it is two triangles or two quads, they have to look exactly the same to be congruent. All right, let's look at this one. We have this like circle that's got a piece cut out of it, and we've got a circle down here with this piece cut out of it. They look like they're the same shape. Are they the same size? Is one bigger than the other? Is one smaller than the other? Think about it. They are not the same size. This purple one, is smaller. So are they congruent or non-congruent? If you said non-congruent, you are correct. They are not the same. They are the same size, but they are not the same shape. They are the same shape, but they are not the same size. This one is smaller, so they are not congruent. All right, we have two arrows. We have a purple arrow and a pink arrow. Let's look very carefully at these. Okay, so we've got two arrows. They look like the same type of arrow. So we've got the same shape, but are they the same size? Let's look very carefully. If I rotated that purple one or the pink one to match the other one, do you think that they would be the same size? What do you think? They are the same size. So if they're the same size, that means that they are congruent. They are the same. They are the exact same. They are just different colors and they are different positions, but they are the same size and the same shape. So they are congruent. All right, let's look at these two. Are these congruent or non-congruent? Is this shape the exact same shape as this circle? No, because this one has a big chunk missing out of the middle. This one does not. So are these the same shape? No. So if it's not the same shape, then it makes it what? Non-congruent. Yes, we're getting it. Okay, now we have two sunshines. Ooh, so pretty. All right, we have two sunshines. We have a white sunshine and a yellow sunshine. They look about the same shape. They look about the same size. So what do you think? Do you think that these are congruent or non-congruent? If you said congruent, you are correct. These are congruent. Last but not least, we have our two squares. Okay, I have one dark purple square and one light purple square. They are the same shape, but are they the same size? If you rotated that light purple one to stand up on its bottom, they would be the same size. So if they're the same shape and the same size, are they congruent or non-congruent? If you said congruent, you are correct. So the difference between congruent and non-congruent. Congruent is the same size, same shape. Non-congruent, not the same size or not the same shape. Color doesn't matter. Also, the location or the position of the shape does not matter. You can turn them around as long as it's the same shape. they are congruent. And as long as they are the same size, they are congruent. You have to have both things to make them congruent. Same size and same shape. They have to be both for it to be considered congruent. All right, guys. I hope that this video helped explain what congruent and non-congruent means. If you have any questions, let me know. Bye!